What is Agile? Can you please help us understand Agile? Can you please give an introduction to Agile? Can you help us understand what is Agile mindset? What is Agile manifesto? How is Agile different from Scrum, XP and Kanban? I keep getting these questions again and again. Can you give us a single page view of what is exactly Agile? Fine. To answer all those questions, I have made this video in which I'll be sharing you mind maps and block diagrams and understanding Agile. Not a lot of theory, not a lot of written sentences. It's just flows, mind maps, so that you understand. I'll also help you understand how our sprints run in Scrum, XP and Kanban. Okay, stay on this video, this introduction to Agile video. You'll understand a lot. If you are a first time learner of what is Agile, if you are just starting to learn about Agile, if you are in your college trying to understand about Agile, if you're a working professional who wants to understand Agile and implement in Agile, then this video is for you. Let's get started. Before the information technology era began, we had the industrial era, in which we had industries working, in which problem solving was quite visible to people. It was a different way of working, it was quite supervisor's way of working, right? Getting things done by ordering people. But once the information technology era came, right, the way of working had to be changed. People wanted to deliver products faster. They wanted to be the competition. They want to go to market faster. They want to adopt things. Software engineering was complicated. Problems are not visible in front of the eyes to people. People had to debug issues, right? To answer all these things, right? To deliver value to customer, faster deliver value to customer. Then find out different ways of improving the way we are working, the quality to be improved, the defects to be reduced, right? Seeing all these things, right? The agile way of working came into existence. In 2001, 17 experts from IT industry got together in Utah City and made the Agile Manifesto for software development. They created 4 values and 12 principles. Okay. Now, why do we need Agile? Because Agile is for knowledge works project. Because things are quite uncertain. We are not aware of what exactly is that we have to build until and unless we are going to build it. Right, so we just know the requirement. How is it going to get used by the users and all, you're not going to understand immediately. So for that kind of working, we need Agile. We need to use Agile. Okay, so in Agile, work is invisible. You can't see what's the problem in front of your eyes. You have to go to the back end, see the logs, debug, understand all the issues. So it's like invisible work trying to fix here, right? Then changing requirements. Even the last minute changes come and we have to address those changes. High quality, reduction of defects. So all these things called out for Agile. Like when people want to innovate a lot, so they wanted a different way of working. So they wanted to come with new methodology called Agile. Right? Agile means being fast and flexible. Agile is a mindset. So Agile is not a way of working, but it is a mindset. It is a set of values and behaviors. There are 4 values and 12 principles, which are like the 12 behaviors which people need to exhibit. Right? So Agile is used to develop complex softwares. Maybe like new launch of products also we use Agile. Mainly for developing complex softwares, we use Agile. Agile has got 3 frameworks: Scrum, Kanban and XP. So these are the quite famous frameworks in Agile. So these frameworks work in a certain way, follow certain practices which use the principles, the behaviors and live the values, the 4 values of Agile. So the framework uses the mindset to deliver softwares in a nice way. So from this, there are 3 frameworks. First one is the Scrum at very high level. Scrum is used to deliver projects. Kanban is used to improve processes. Once something is gone to production, how can we deliver value fast? Kanban is used for that. And third is XP. XP is used to deliver softwares by improving the way we are coding, the programming, making more scalable. So these are 3 different frameworks. They have different ways of working. Okay, so let's go ahead and understand more about agile and complex software development. So what is the focus when building a complex software? The first and foremost focus is delivering value to the customer. How soon can we deliver value to the customer? The faster we will deliver the value to the customer, the better is it, right? Then faster delivery is the second thing. Giving the customer something minimal, small use case that can be used immediately is called the value. That's called the minimum viable product. And for developing complex softwares, we don't wait for the long time to deliver this. We give this immediately, a small portion which can be used ASAP by the customer. Then quality is of utmost importance. There are different ways how to improve quality in software development. So complex software quality is also very key. So that's also focus of Agile. Then people become a very big focus in Agile. Going back to the first value in Agile, individuals and interactions over process and tools given more value. Right? So people have got a lot of value in Agile, and the way people work, the way they are treated is very, very important. Then the amount focus of Agile on building complex software is to decrease the time to market and decrease the defects and then deliver a valuable software. So these are the focuses of Agile software when working with Agile software development, when working with complex softwares. Now let's try to understand and learn about Agile way of working with, which is an empirical process. So Agile software development, developing software in Agile way of working, the process is called empirical process. Empirical process is one in which you learn by doing things. It is not based on the past experiences, what we had done earlier, right? In empirical process, we are learning by doing things based on the observations. Okay, this sprint we did like this. 5 people were able to deliver 40 story points. That's the first learning we get. And the next sprints also start working on that. So it is by learning by doing. And we do a course correction, right? After every sprint, we're getting a feedback from the customer in the demo, and we take a course correction. So we do 3 important things in the empirical process that form the foundation, right? Inspection, adaptation, and transparency. So these 3 things are very, very important in the empirical process because things are emergent. Things are not evident in front of you, so you have to go in the empirical way of working. Okay, so when things become emergent, things become uncertain, we go for agile of working, and then we use the empirical process in which 3 important pillars are inspection, adaptation, transparency. Now, for inspection, we have got these Scrum ceremonies or Scrum meetings, right? We have got the daily Scrums, we have got the sprint planning, we have got the sprint reviews and sprint inspection. These are all for inspections, right? Sprint demos, sorry, and retrospectives. Then for transparency's sake, what did we add in? We added in the artifacts, product backlog, everybody knows what is the product backlog. Then sprint backlog, everybody knows what is the sprint backlog. And then after that, product increment, everybody knows what is the product increment. And then we've got the Scrum boards in front of us, or the task boards in front of us, which come and say, okay, everybody knows who's working on what is the state of the story, what test cases are added on that. So everybody knows everything, that's for the transparency. Then adaptation. So inspection and transparency don't work well if you don't adapt things. We have to do a course correction. After the retrospectives, we have got some action items for the next sprint, and then we're going to take those action items. So this is the way of working in empirical process, and it's quite iterative. Right? Once we start adapting things, every iteration becomes better. Scope in Agile. How is scope treated in Agile? So scope in Agile is variable. It is flexible. Even in the last minute, people can come and change the scope. There is one principle which says we welcome change in the even late in the development. Right? So we should be welcoming that because that's important for the customer. But then we have to push out something else. We have to accommodate that in the time box of the sprint. Okay. Then after that, the product backlog. Product backlog is what is maintained in the scope. So product backlog is also emergent. Okay. And then after that, the stakeholder involvement on this scope to be delivered is continuous in Agile, unlike in traditional where it's high in the beginning and towards the end very less. Okay. So that's about scope in Agile. So you can see this complete mind map in front of you, which talks about the 4 Agile values, the Agile empirical process, the focus of Agile, and the way scope is managed in Agile. You can take a pen and paper and make a note of this. Now let's try to understand more about Agile. Now let's go ahead with the manifesto for Agile software development. Manifesto for Agile software development has got 4 values and 12 principles. Now we'll look into the 4 values. What is the first value? The first value says that we value individuals and interactions more over processes and tools. Means the conversations that are there with the people, the way people are treated when we are building the software, the way interactions are happening between the developers and the customer, right? So these are valued more to build a better software because the gap in requirement gathering or shared understanding of this story is going to impact the software more than focusing more on the process and tools. Okay, make a BRD, follow this step by step, you tell him, then get the information, ABC. No, we want people to talk directly. So process and tools are important. Yes, we need the Jira software. Yes, we need the Scrum boards. Yes, we need the practices. We need the people who stand and talk in front of everything, the storyboards, right? But individuals and interactions are valued more over process and tools. So this gives the people a very good thinking, a very happy work environment also. So that's the first value, right? Individuals and interactions valued over process and tools. The next one is working software is valued more over a comprehensive documentation. Earlier we used to give deliverables, we used to do a lot of BRDs and all these things, right? So now we say that we are valuing the working software more over a comprehensive documentation, right? A software that works is more important, right? Imagine you have a mobile phone and it's not working. It has got all the apps very well. There was a point if you can't make a call from the cell phone, right? So working software is valued more over comprehensive documentation, right? That's the second part. Yes, we do value that we need to document stories, we need to put these things, but we're not focusing a lot on that, but we are focusing more on what software should work. And yes, minimal documentation, what is required will be there. It has to be there. right? So customer collaboration is valued more over contracts and negotiation. If we collaborate more with customers, so we'll welcome change in last minute also. A change that is going to add value to the customer, that's going to kind of help the customer grow their business, increase their time to market, right? Get more response and feedback from their users, improve their ROI, right? So we need to collaborate with customer on all these things. Yes, contracts and negotiations will be there, but we'll be valuing that a little later, but we'll be valuing more on customer collaboration over contracts and negotiation. So this is very, very important. Then last value is responding to change or following a plan. So responding to change or following a plan, we have got, so in this, like, we'll welcome change in the last minute also. In the end of the sprint, also welcome some change, but something might go out. So we'll tell what's going to be the impact. Okay. So yes, the traditional we used to do a lot of planning, but in Agile we do a lot of planning, with sprint planning, but we welcome changing, also respond to change or following a plan. If something new comes, it's important for the customer, we value that. So I've also recorded a video on this, on the 4 Agile values. The link should be here somewhere on my left, right? So you can please go and watch that video. The description link will be there, so you can watch in more details about the 4 values. Now let's go ahead and understand about the 12 Agile principles. 12 Agile principles. Now, I have recorded the 12 Agile principles in a single mind map so that you can get a complete view of this. So it becomes easier for you to understand what is Agile principles. There is a separate video of almost 30 minutes on these 12 Agile principles. The link is put in the description on the left over here. You can go and watch that video also with a lot of examples. This being an introduction video, I'll just introduce this Agile principles to you. Here and I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay, let's get started off. So what is the first principle of the Agile? So it says that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer with early and continuous delivery of software. Right? What is the highest priority? Is to satisfy the customer. Right? That's the first and foremost thing. So once the customer is happy, we are happy. Okay? With early and continuous delivery of software. That's the important part. The next point is that we welcome change in the requirements even late in the development. Like for example, on the 4th day of the sprint, on the 10-day sprint, on the 7th day, some changes come in, we welcome that. But then something else has to go out because Agile cannot bend time and space. We'll say, we'll have to push out something, we'll do this also. So we welcome change in requirements even late in the development. That's the second principle. The third principle is that we deliver working software from a duration of 2 weeks to 4 weeks, 10 working days to 20 working days, right? So that's the fast way of delivering software. Earlier in traditional way of working, it used to be a long time. We will understand about the waterfall and traditional waterfall and the Agile also in the next few slides, but just to give an example. So Agile means fast delivery. So every 2 weeks, you are delivering some working software to the customer in production. Okay. Then the next is that business people and the developers should work together daily so that they understand the requirement better, so that we understand, have a great shared understanding and build the software in a very nice way. So many times organizations don't let the developers work directly with the business people. There are always people in the middle, but that actually slows down the ways of working. I have always believed in this principle. I've made my developers work directly with the customer, so it becomes easier for them to understand what is the requirement and deliver the best software that works for them. Fifth principle says that projects are built around motivated individuals, right? People who believe more in the sprint goal than their personal goal. Okay, so this is very important. So projects are built around motivated individuals is the fifth principle, right? If people are not motivated to do the work, they're just worried of like what's important for them rather than the sprint goal, because the delivery is owned by the development team. The sprint goal should also be owned by them. So that's more important for them to own the sprint goal. Okay, then face-to-face communication. The next one is the best way of information sharing. The sixth principle is that information sharing is done with face-to-face way of communication. The best way of communication is face-to-face way of communication. So that's very, very important, right? It always helps when people are working with each other in front to front, right? When they share information face-to-face, when standing in front of a sprint board and talking to each other, it's much more beneficial than just doing a Zoom recording and talking, or maybe just putting Slack messages, right? That's helpful. Then the seventh one is that working software is a primary measure of success. A software that works, that's the best way out to measure your success. Okay, that's very, very important. No wonder how many features you added, no matter how many back-end logics you added, but if it's not working, it's not going to help. The primary measure of success is the working software. Okay, then after that, both sponsors, the developers, and the business people should all work together in a sustainable way. Like for example, they have to figure out what is the best way of output that we can deliver each sprint on sprint, right? So this is very, very important, right? So it's like 40 story points, 30 story points. So 30 cannot become 45 story points in the next sprint, right? That's not sustainable. 30 can become 32 or 31, right? So that's a sustainable way of working. So that's very, very important. The principle says that the eighth principle is that sponsors, developers, business people, everybody should work together in a sustainable way of working. Then, very, very important, when you're building code softwares, we have to pay specific attention to technical excellence, right? So we have to have those pieces of complex code broken down in small units so that it can be scalable later. That's the ninth principle. 10th one is that simplicity is the art of maximizing the work not done. Okay, that's very, very important and helpful. So what we are not building is more important, right? Because we don't waste our time on building something that's not needed with the customer, right? So simplicity is the art of maximizing the work not done. So just don't give features to customers which they don't want. Okay. The next thing is like projects are built around having self-organizing teams, right? So everybody does their own work. We don't do assignment of tasks in Agile like traditional way of project management. Agile people are expected to be self-organized. They have to pick up their work and they work on their own work. Okay. Next thing is that at regular intervals, we kind of review and we retrospect and fix the way we are working. That helps us in adaptation of work. So these were the 12 principles of Agile. The mind map is in front of you. You can take a pen and paper, make a note, draw the images. So mind maps actually help you in gathering a lot of information using both your right side and left side of your brain, and it helps you in retention for a longer time. In this video, you will see many mind maps, 4 or 5 more mind maps to understand more about Agile, about Scrum, XP, and Kanban. Okay, now let's try to understand what is waterfall way of working, right? The traditional way. In waterfall way of working, we had initially plan the project, maybe a couple of months, then design analyze for another 1 month, develop for another 2 to 3 months, right? Or maybe more. We are doing 1 month of planning, at least we'll develop for like 4 or 5 months. And then after that, test it for 2 more months. And then after 1 year of doing all of this, towards the end of the year, you see some working software in production, which you are not happy with. Then a lot of rework happens. You have to fix so many things, right? So this itself takes a duration of 6 months to 1 year. This was the predictive life cycle in which you know the requirements, you need to know the scope, and you build this, right? So this was a traditional way of working. So this used to take a lot of time, 6 months to a year to deliver a software in production, right? So this is actually going to inhibit a lot of go-to-market time for the customers. Then we came up with the Agile way of working. In Agile, it's very nice. Just have a look. It should be there in front of your screen, right? So in Agile, we have an iterative way of working. So there are iterations in sprints. So every 2 to 4 weeks is a sprint, right? In that, you'll do the entire cycle of plan, analyze, design, develop, test, and then put to production. So entire cycle happens within just 2 to 4 weeks. You don't have to wait for 1 year to deploy the software. Okay, so that's the beauty of Agile, right? So small iterations, some small value. If you have got a use case, from the use case, a small part can be used out immediately. That is deployed to production immediately in a sprint. Okay, so that's the benefit of Agile. So so Agile, when we use this for uncertain way of scope. When the scope is uncertain, we use Agile way of working. Okay, now we want you to understand the triangle, the triple constraint triangle, time, cost, and scope for Waterfall and Agile. How is it different for both of these? Let's try to understand that. Okay, so few of the constraints are fixed, few of the constraints are variable. In a waterfall model for a fixed price project, when the scope is fixed, okay, then you use the waterfall model, the traditional way of working, because the requirements are clear. You know what needs to be built. You can do it in that way. You can also make this clear requirements in a hybrid way of working by adopting Agile practices and delivering the software in the traditional way. Okay. Now, if the scope is fixed, you use waterfall model and a fixed price contract. Time and cost can be variable. You can take the $10,000 to the same work or $11,000 no problem. You can take 6 months or 7 months to do the same work, but the scope is fixed. That's the waterfall model. In Agile, the scope is variable, but time and cost is fixed. Time box sprints, cost is fixed. For this much money, this much cost will do. Scope will do. You're changing scope, no problem. Something else will be added, same amount of work. Something for 10 days will remove, something for 10 days will be added. Okay, but the time and the cost will remain fixed in Agile. We usually use time and material projects to run Agile projects. Time and material contracts to run Agile projects. Okay, that's very, very important. It could be asked on some of your certification exams like PMP or CSM also. Now I quickly want to run through you with few Agile terms. Okay, before I get into the sprints, iterations of Scrum, XP, Kanban, and all these things, I wanted to understand few of these terms over here with us. Okay, so what are these terms? First one, product owner. So product owner is a person who works with the business users and gets the user requirements. He maintains the product backlog. He is the guy responsible for increasing the ROI, and he is the guy who manages the backlog and prioritizes the backlog. This is the first role. Next one is Scrum Master. A Scrum Master is a person who ensures that people learn about Agile, who ensures that he manages a sprint, and he ensures that people are actually held accountable for what they are doing, right? And he also promotes Agile in the organization. Okay, he is a promoter of Scrum, he is a promoter of Agile, he ensures that he facilitates all the meetings. That's it, Scrum Master. Next is the development team. Development team is a set of developers, testers and designers who are working together to give the delivery of working software. These are the people who are responsible for the software delivery. Then sprint iteration. Sprint or iteration is a time box. It could be 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, working days. Okay. This is a fixed time box for every iteration. If you have got five sprints, each sprint is 10 days, so it's going to take 50 days to deliver all the 5 sprints. If the work is more, 10 days sprint cannot become 11 days. If the work is less, 10 days sprint cannot become 5 days. Okay. Time box is sprint. So sprint is also known as iteration. Then let's talk about some artifacts. Okay. Sprint product backlog. Product backlog is a list of requirements that are needed to build the product. It is a big list of requirements that is needed to build the product, maintained by the product owner, prioritized by the product owner. A subset of this is sprint backlog. You do a planning meeting and come up with a sprint backlog. The development team says, yes, we can build this in the next 10 days of sprint. That is called as a sprint backlog. It is a subset. Okay, it's a subset of the product. Product backlog is this, sprint backlog is this. Okay. Then after that you have got product increment. The working software that is delivered at the end of the sprint is called as a product increment. It is sum of all the old increments given. Okay, clear? Now, planning meetings. We have got sprint planning meeting. A sprint planning meeting is one in which you work with the product owner and you and the development team and the Scrum Master together. Everybody come estimate the stories, they prioritize what needs to be done, and then they start decomposing the stories, make sure details of the stories, right? And add the stories on the sprint board and then estimate them and then deliver this, make a plan for this and deliver the stories over the next 10 days. That's what's happening in sprint planning meeting. Daily stand-up meeting is one we come and inspect and check everybody. Everybody checks that what we did yesterday, what we plan to do today, and what is the roadblocks. So this is the daily stand-up that happens every day for 15 minutes. In daily stand-ups, you don't go and start working on issue resolution. You don't try to debug issues in daily stand-up. Okay. Then after that, you have got your sprint demos. Sprint demos are held at the end of the sprints to demo the working software. Okay, it's an inspection, and here you have got business users, product owners, everybody come to check what you have built. Finally, you have got retrospective is a way of working on the software that has been fixed. Is this software fine or not is decided by the retrospective, right? So, I mean, you're gonna, in the retrospective, you're gonna decide like how is the what did you do right, what did you do wrong, and what we're gonna do better in the next sprint, what are the action items. That's what happens in retrospectives. Okay, so these are some of the terms you need to remember before we get into the more details. Now, let us understand the Scrum framework. So, what is the Scrum framework? Scrum framework was co-created by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Chobert to develop software and deliver in an agile manner using the agile mindset and the agile values. They did a thorough observation of the rugby game and came up with some practices for Scrum. Let's try to understand that. So Scrum, as I told you, is a framework. It is a methodology that kind of works on 3 basic principles of empiricism, that is like inspection, adaptation and transparency. So these are 3 principles of empiricism followed by Scrum. And then Scrum is a framework that's all about practices like this, so dedicated roles, there are some artifacts, and then there are regular meetings. So it is a very disciplined framework. So any project that needs a delivery, if it's done in Scrum methodology, it is easier to deliver the output in an agile way. Okay, so Scrum is used to deliver even minimum viable projects. From the use case, whatever is the most important part that needs to be delivered to the client, they can be delivered in MVP using the Scrum framework. Okay, and Scrum is also used to deliver software in sprints or iterations, things of high business value. So when there's a lot of things at stake, when we want to deliver projects, we use Scrum methodology. Okay, and Scrum is also used for continuous improvement. Okay, so we learn from every sprint and we make things better. So that's where the continuous improvement comes in, Scrum framework. Okay, so Scrum has got 3 roles. So what are these 3 roles? The first one is a product owner, and then is the Scrum Master, and then the development team. Product owner is one who works on the product backlog, the roadmap. He understands what the user needs. He comes and he works with the development team and the Scrum Master to build the software. He is the one who prioritizes the software delivery, what needs to be built. He is the one who comes and says, this is the most valuable software. Let's try to work and build this. And product owner also comes and reviews the demos. He is the person going to give you a lot of clarifications when the stories are being built with the development team. He's also part of this sprint planning meeting. Okay, now coming to the Scrum Master. Scrum Master is a person who ensures this framework is done successfully. The Scrum framework is followed the entire team successfully. He ensures that the Scrum events are happening successfully. He schedules those calls, he facilitates those calls. He also ensures the product backlog, the artifacts are maintained properly, and he also ensures that the development team is working consistently towards the sprint goal. Scrum Master as such is not responsible for the delivery, but the development team is the one who is responsible for the delivery of the sprint goal. Okay, so Scrum Master is there to remove impediments. He is there to solve issues for roadblocks for you. He is there to help you understand what is Agile mindset, what is the Scrum framework. So that's the work of a Scrum Master. Then we have got the different artifacts. So what are the different artifacts in the Scrum framework? There are three important artifacts. First one is the product backlog. Second one is the sprint backlog. Third one is the product increment. What is the product backlog? Product backlog is the list of all the features that need to be built for the roadmap of the product. Okay, whatever has to be built. So that's like a never ending list that is being built. So it is primarily built by the product owner. Additions can be done on the development team and Scrum Master also based on the iterations that are happening, based on the learnings you learn on the project. So the primary person responsible for managing the product backlog is the product owner. From this product backlog, prioritized work comes into the sprint backlog. That is the second artifact. Okay, the sprint backlog is a list of few stories which the development team is going to work and deliver in the end of the sprint. The sprint backlog also has a sprint goal. Now, after the sprint backlog, we have got the product increment. At the end of the sprint, whatever is the potentially shippable software is built, right? That is called as the product increment. It is a sum of all the increments which have gone for the past iterations. The final, let's say before you run out 4 sprint demos. So the 5th sprint demo will have all these 4 items in the product, and the 5th one is getting added. So product increment is getting incremented every time it's been released. That's the product increment. Okay, I missed one of the roles, that was the development team. Okay, so development team comprises of the developers, testers, and the designers, or the UI guys who are working there. So these are people who work on the stories. They estimate the stories. They ask a lot of questions on the stories. They ask the product owner to refine the stories for them, and they build the working software. Okay, these are the people who actually build the software for us. Okay, now coming back to the ceremonies. Scrum has got 4 ceremonies: sprint planning, daily stand-up or Scrum, and then sprint review and sprint retrospective. Sprint planning. Sprint planning is a meeting. For a 2-week sprint, you will have at least 4 hours sprint planning. A sprint planning is a meeting wherein you kind of understand what are the things you need to build. You decompose the requirements, you create the stories, you refine the stories, you add the acceptance criteria, you estimate the stories, and you ask all the questions and you groom the stories, have it ready to be built over the next 9 days or 10 days. Okay, so that's what happens in sprint planning meeting. Product owner, development team, and the Scrum Master are part of the sprint planning meeting. Then after the sprint planning meeting, we have got the daily stand-ups or the daily scrums. So this is the regular check with the team wherein we come and ask what we did yesterday, what do we plan to do today, and what are the roadblocks, right? So this is the question we ask in this thing. So it's more of facilitation meeting. In this meeting, we don't come and start addressing issues. Okay, let's do the RCA, let's kind of debug this issue. No, we don't do this. That's done separately. Okay, any impediments have to be called out to the Scrum Master. He'll try to resolve whatever he can. He'll try to connect the dots in the daily stand-ups. Then at the end of the sprint comes the third ceremony, that's a sprint demo, or also called a sprint review or iteration review. So this is the time when the team comes and demos what they have built in the last 8 to 9 days. Okay, this is the potentially shippable product or the software which the users are going to use it once it goes to production, right? So in this meeting, the users, the product owner, the Scrum Master, development, everybody comes, and the product owner and the users give feedback whether it's actually useful software or not. Okay, then finally you've got retrospective. Now after all this 10 days of work, now we want to adapt. We want to fix things that didn't go well. So we ask 3 questions in this meeting, the retrospective meeting called as what went well, what could be improved, and what are the next step of actions. right? So these things, and what are the action items for the next sprint, right? So there's a regular check. We regular intervals we check this to adapt to whatever has been done. So after inspection, adaptation has to become. So that's where these three principles of Scrum come: inspection, transparency, and adaptation. So transparency happens with artifacts, product backlog, sprint backlog, and the product increment. On the sprint goal also is there, right? Then after that you have got inspection. In that maybe four meetings: sprint planning, daily scrums, retrospective, and sprint demos. And then finally you have got adaptation. Is also you're taking the decision in the retrospective, what are you going to fix in future. And scrum sprints are run over a period of 2 to 4 weeks. So that's about, we build, we plan, we build, we design, we analyze, and we build the softwares, and we test them in the scrum sprints. That's about Scrum in a nutshell, a very, very brief. I've also recorded a detailed video on the Scrum frameworks called Scrum 101 or What is Scrum. If the link should be here, you can go and watch that. It's a detailed video of almost like 50 minutes. Now, I want to talk about the Scrum sprint execution. Scrum sprint execution. In front of your screen, you will be seeing a flow diagram wherein we start off with the product backlog maintained by the product owner, who's in orange color. Then he filters this product backlog and sprint backlog in the meeting, the sprint planning meeting. He works with the developers and the Scrum Master, and then the sprint backlog is built. From the sprint backlog, the iteration goes for 10 days. If it is 4-week sprint, it's 4-week sprint, goes for 20 days, right? And during this duration, every day daily stand-up happens wherein we are inspecting and trying to take a course correction. Now, after that, at the end of the sprint, what happens is, now in the sprint, what's happening? We plan, we analyze, we develop, we test, and we review customers. We do show review to the customer. At the end of the sprint, we are giving you what? The product increment, right? So product increment is come, a demo is done, which again, we have got product owner coming in. And then we have got the users coming in, the Scrum Master and development team. With the team demos the product that has been built. Now we take feedback from them, and then after that, what happens? We have the retrospective. After retrospective, we figure out that something is missed, it's not done completely. We'll again put that back into the product backlog. So that's the entire flow of the sprint in Scrum. Similarly, I'll show the flow of sprints for Kanban and XP also. Just hang on this video. Now let's try to understand the XP framework, right? Extreme Programming Framework. The main goal of XP framework is to write code in a better way. That's the main goal, right? The difference between XP and Scrum is that Scrum is focused on delivering projects. XP is focused on ensuring that we write code in the best possible way so that it is scalable later. Okay. Now, XP, as I told you, primary focus is build great growth. So there's a mind map in front of you in our screen. You'll be able to understand things. So XP teams work in a very different way, right? XP teams work co-located, right? All the teammates are co-located. They are self-organized teams and they have an energized work environment. Self-organized, they understand what the work has to be done. They pick it up and start doing it. As I've told you earlier also, the goal of Agile is to have self-organized team and increase the collaboration. Now with collaboration, XP teams also have the greater collaboration and need to be more cohesive, because here two people will be working on pair programming, seeing one piece of code. So the communication has to be more, the cohesiveness has to be more, the collaboration has to be more, because two people are seeing the same piece of code and then they start giving feedback. They say, oh, you need to fix that. I think so, you can change this. This is going directly into memory. So people should be able to receive the feedback, right? Then also people should be able to give feedback in a nice way so the other person accepts it. So XP is all about giving faster feedback. Okay. Then in XP also we have got many ways of giving faster feedback. So we've got pair programming. In pair programming, you get feedback in within seconds. Then after that you have got unit testing. Unit testing, every 10 minutes build you can get a feedback. Then after that you have got customer collaboration, wherein you get feedback from customer with the clarification. Within a day you can get that feedback. Then the daily scrums, you have got again daily scrums also give you feedback every day, right? Make course corrections. Then weekly sprints also you give a demo and get feedback. Then after that you have got acceptance from the customer within the week. UAT is done and you get a feedback. Then you have got the final release that goes to the customer within a month, you get feedback. So you see in XP, we take a lot of feedback, a lot of adaptation happens, we do course corrections and we improve the software. So continuous improvement happens much faster and better way in XP, because most of things are automated over here. Like automated test cases, then you've got automated builds, all these things happens in XP. Okay. Then again, in XP, we have got 5 values. So what are the 5 values in XP? You can see on the mind map. So one is the simplicity, one is feedback, communication, courage, and respect. Okay. Simplicity. Simplicity is maximizing the art of maximizing the work not done. Means we will not build features which are not needed immediately. We will build features only which are needed immediately, which add value to the customer now. For the sake of just building features, we will not build features. Okay. So software development is used to solve problems, not to just add features. Remember that. Okay. Then after that, in simplicity, we also take care of addressing that in the code in such a way that big complex code is broken down in small units, so that these can be used later to make it scalable. Usually developers write reusable code and becomes very complex later, so we want to avoid that. Okay. Then after that, we have got communication as the next value. Communication is very important because we're talking about co-located thing, we're talking about osmotic communication, we're talking about faster feedback from pair programming. So communication is very, very key over here in XP teams. Okay, so co-location helps a lot. Then feedback, as I already told you so many points of getting feedback. Okay, so getting feedback, making course corrections is very, very important. That's another value in XP. Then courage is very important because in XP, team members have to give feedback to each other. Team members have to stand out and talk to the sponsors and the stakeholders when things go out of control, when things are like inhumanly possible, when the work-life balance is at hit. So you have to show a lot of courage. Right? Respect. In XP, we also value respect a lot because we need to give feedback, and we have to give feedback in a nice way that other people takes your feedback. So you just can't go and snub people. Right? So respect is very, very important. People are valued much. Their work-life balance is also valued much. So those are the values of XP. Now, how about XP and Scrum? Is XP like Scrum? Yes, on few points, and few points is different. So on few things that XP is like Scrum is, XP also uses user stories, Scrum also uses user stories. There are demos in XP, Scrum also has demos. Then similarly, XP has got iterative development, incremental development, so it's there in Scrum also, right? And then finally, we decompose work in XP as in the Scrum. Now, how is XP different from Scrum? So XP has got quarterly releases. They plan for 3 months. Scrum you plan for a sprint, XP plans for 3 months, and then they break down the 3 months into 12 sprints. So it's weekly iterations. XP has got something called as the theme. The theme is for all the 3 months. Then XP has got a simple work added in the theme. It's called a Slack. This is used to refactor the code, address the technical debt, address the vulnerabilities, right? All those things. Then you want to restructure the code. You want to add some extra time. So once the priority items are done, you want to go and address these things also. That's called Slack. Okay. Then after that, XP has got weekly iterations. So that's how XP is different. Finally, XP has got 4 roles: the developer, the coach, we have got the tracker, and the customer. Customer is like a product owner. Coach is like a Scrum Master. Okay, so that's what we have. And tracker is a person who tracks to ensure that the work is getting done. Okay, so that's about XP roles. Clear? Okay, similar to XP values have got 5 values: respect, courage, feedback, commitment, and you have got simplicity, right? Similarly, in Scrum, you have got 2 similar values plus 3 more extra values. Respect and courage is similar to XP, and then after you have got focus, openness, and then commitment. So these are the 5 values of Scrum. So those are the differences, and those 2 values are same: respect and courage in both XP and Scrum. Okay. Now let's see the sprint flow in XP. It's there on front of your screen, so you can see that. So we start with the product backlog, and then we move to iteration backlog, like a sprint backlog. We do a filtering. The customer works with us, and we say, okay, this is what is needed for the current weekly iteration. Okay, and then we can have 1 week iteration over here. We have the customer, your development team, and the coach working on. And then in the iteration, you have got the development and the coach working on. For clarification, again, we go back to the customer, and then the iteration goes for the entire 1 week. At the end of week, we give a demo, and then after that, the iteration demo is called the iteration demo, like a sprint review. And then anything left undone will again go back to the backlog. We don't have a retrospective over here in XP. Okay, because we're doing already so many feedbacks and checks, which we just told you some time back on verifications, right? So we don't have a retrospective in XP. Next, clear? Just make a note of this, it will be helpful for you. Okay, now let's try to understand what is Kanban. Okay, Kanban is a Japanese term used for signboards. Okay, it is a lot of visual representation, right? So Kanban helps in seeing things visually and getting into action. So something that's quite visible, you see spending, this done, this needs to be done. It's easy for us to look and start working on, right? So Kanban is all about visual things. It's like a signboard. Kanban has got 2 important things. One, Kanban has a dedicated capacity. Now, based on the dedicated capacity, you make two important things in Kanban. One is the limiting the work in progress. 2 is Kanban has a pull system. Okay. What do you mean by limiting work in progress? Limiting work in progress means if a particular column, like say for example, on the screen if you're seeing, You've got three columns: to do, in progress, and done. So in progress column has got one person. So that one person will work only on one story at one given point of time. He will not work on all the 4 stories. He will not do 20% of one story, another person's story, 20%, 20, 20, 20, 80%. Nothing is delivered. Okay, he'll work on only one story and deliver that, and then pick up the next work. That's where the productivity increases. So the idea of limiting the work in progress is to ensure that the productivity is high and the value is gained by the customer faster. Let's say, for example, you've got 5 stories. Each story you can down one day, and you as a developer start doing 20% the first one, 22nd one, 23rd one, 24th one, 25th one. At the end of one day, you've done 20% all 5 stories. What is the value you can give to the customer that one day? Nothing. So instead, as one person, you take one story, you complete that, give it to customer. He realizes the value immediately after one day. That's the beauty of limiting work in progress. Understood? Clear? Good. Okay. So that's how the beauty of Kanban. You limit the work in progress, and then Kanban has pull system. Whenever a column is empty, you pull work and you get it done. Okay, if you have more things in work in progress, there's also risk of rework. There's also potential risk of unknowns. Okay, you don't know what is happening behind those stories. Okay, until you go and test it and give it to the customer, get feedback. Kanban has got 5 principles. First one is a signboard, that is visual, as I already told you, right? Kanban has got a signboard that's visual. Being visual is one of the principles of Kanban. Next thing is Kanban says, make process and policies explicit. You'll be seeing a small mind map in front of your screen. So it says make processes and policies explicit in Kanban. Like for example, if there is this Scrum board, let's say we'll talk about who will update the board, who will put the estimates, who will put the comments, right? Who will put the acceptance criteria, when will the status change, right? Then we'll decide all the ground rules and we make process and policies explicit. When will the story be groomed, or how many people will be working on, how many people will be working at a given point of time, right? We talk about all these things and make process and policies explicit in Kanban. Okay, next thing is limiting work in progress. I already spoke to you about this. The third principle is limit the work in progress. So the beauty of limiting work in progress is the increases productivity drastically. Okay, then next is improve collaborativity. Kanban also talks a lot of collaboration, right? Let's say for example, from design to define, right? From design to analyze, from analyze to development, development to testing, testing to user. After every phase there is a meeting. Once the user stories are designed by the customer or the product owner or who is the person coming and explaining, he will have to explain it to the development team. Now these people will analyze those stories, they'll build it. Once they build it, once they put it to the testing team, again they have to have a discussion with them on the acceptance criteria. Now once the testing team is done, they also have to put it to the customer, and then again customer comes with feedback and there's a lot of discussion. So Kanban talks about lot of collaboration between these people, and there's a lot of feedback that's coming in. Okay. Finally, manage the flow. Okay, the fifth principle, you have to manage the flow. Now, based on the limit of work in progress, based on the capacity, the flow will manage on Kanban, right? For example, there are 4 developers and you just got 2 stories. We can release 2 developers something else, some other project. Or if there are like 8 stories and you have just got like 2 developers, you'll just take 2 stories every time and do it. That's how manage the flow. Okay, so these are the principles of Kanban. I've also recorded a separate video on what is Kanban. You find the link over here. Please do watch this detailed video for almost 20 minutes. You'll get more information on that. This being an introductory video or a brief video, I've just been capturing these things for you to understand what is Agile in a nutshell within like 40-50 minutes. On your screen, you'll be seeing the flow of Kanban. So the beauty of Kanban is you don't have to wait for 2 weeks. You don't have to wait for 1 week. You can deliver software as and when it is built in 3 to 4 days also. Similar to the XP and Scrum, there's also a product backlog, there is a release backlog, that's the iteration of the sprints, right? Then after that, you have got the development cycle, like plan, analyze, develop, QA test, and review with customers. Then deliver work as soon as it's completed, right? You do a demo and there's a product increment. There's a iteration demo, and then things go back to the product backlog, what's not undone. Okay, so this is the Kanban flow. Okay, so I've highlighted the difference in yellow color in front of you, which is different from the previous 2 XP and Kanban. So the beauty of Kanban is that if you want to deliver software faster, continuous, early delivery, you want to improve process, you want to work on retainer projects, you have got L3 projects, you've got support projects, all of these use Kanban. Okay, fine. If it's a new project, use Scrum. If you want to improve the way we are coding things, use XP. Okay, so that's about Kanban. Finally, I want to come and talk to you a little bit about lean thinking. So lean thinking is a agile way of thinking, right? It's more of a mindset kind of thing when you're doing things. So they have got 7 principles. Okay, just understand the 7 principles, and then I'll talk about 7 lean ways, and then we are done for this video. Okay, fine. So there's a small mind map in front of you. So you'll see that empower the team. So lean thinking says we have to empower the people on the team. We have to let people talk to the users directly. We have to help people take decisions. We have to make people more autonomous, right? So we have to encourage this empowerment in the team. Okay, that's the first principle of lean thinking, right? You can't be autocratic, you can't be quite super, you can't do micromanagement over here. Okay, then after that, next thing is seeing the whole. So very, very important in lean thinking, we want to see the entire thing, right? We just don't want to see a small part, not just one story. We are going to see the entire story map. Okay, the high level plan, the entire release plan we are going to see. So we want to see the whole over here in lean thinking. Okay, the next principle of lean is deliver fast. Okay, they want to, that's the one of the most important principles in Agile is we want to deliver fast, we want to deliver continuous, we want to deliver value, we want to deliver value consistently and continuously, right? We want to work with people nicely. So delivering fast is one of the lean principles. Okay, as fast as possible. MVP can be done, go to market time should be decreased, right? ROI should go high. So delivery fast is very, very important. That's also one of the principles of lean. Then built-in quality, right? So we want to write the test driven, we want to do test driven development, we want to have the acceptance criteria written down, we want to do unit testing, we want to do automated testing. So we want to build in the quality in software so that we give a better software. That's the fourth principle. The next one is we want to eliminate waste. There are 7 lean waste, okay, like motion, extra processes, extra features, then task switching, and then after that you have got waiting, right? So many kind of extra lean waste, 7 lean wastes are there. I have recorded a separate video on 7 lean wastes for 7 to 8 minutes. You can watch that over here and get more details on that. So again, lean thinking says eliminate waste. Okay, I have also given an example how one project went for a toss because these lean wastes were happening, and unfortunately we're doing like 6 of the 7 lean wastes on the project, and there are a lot of delays. Okay, then finally defer decisions. They say don't take decisions until the last minute. Until you have the data with you, you'll never take decisions. Okay, that's the next lean principle we have. Finally, it's amplify learning. We learn with the lessons learned. We want to document things, so that's the amplifying the learning. So these are the 7 lean thinking principles. Lastly, I just want to cover the 7 lean ways. It's there in front of your screen. One is the motion. I told you, extra processes, extra features, task switching, partially done works, defects which no one of us like, but those will be in software, and then waiting. Okay, so these are the 7 lean ways. Okay, so that's about this video on introduction to Agile. I have recorded separate videos, in detail videos for all of these frameworks: Scrum, XP, Kanban, Lean. I've also given you mind maps, mnemonics in those videos, so remember those tips if you're preparing for any examination like PMP exam, PMI-ACP or CS will be helpful. But if not that, if you're just looking in for what is Agile, this video answers all the questions on what is Agile, what are the different frameworks, methodologies. Thank you for watching my video. This is Arham Faraz. Bye bye. Have a nice day.